I'll make a motion to approve our prior minutes of October 24th, for our special town board meeting, October 27th, for the regular town board meeting, October 28th, special board meeting, and October 29th, special town board meeting. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. I have several announcements, and then if anybody else does, that would be great. Town Hall will be closed tomorrow for Veterans Day. Also, on November 14th, we have a Town Hall clean-out day. This is something we talked about when we had our work lunch, and we have a couple scheduled. It's record clean-outs. The phone won't be being answered continuously because people will be away from their desks. So all calls will be returned. Town Hall will be open. People who come here will be served. There may be a slight delay in getting an answer on the phone. So thank you for bearing with us while we clean out some old records.
When you say the lunch, that was a lunch you had with the town hall staff? Because I don't think we were at that.
Yes. What else here? Also, November 28th, the Friday after Thanksgiving, is a day that most of the town, all of the town employees have elected to take as one of their floating holidays. So while we are not closing Town Hall, there will be nobody here, so in effect, it will be closed. It's a slight nuance, but the Friday after Thanksgiving, Town Hall will not be peopled. Front stairs will be done tomorrow. They'll lay the last 2 stones, and again, I want to thank Chris Lipscomb for helping us and with the donation of labor and goods over $5,000. Bobby feels, and so does Jan, the mason, that we've missed the window for the side stairs. So rather than tear them apart and risk frost and not, cement not curing, the recommendation is to wait till April. So the front steps will be done, and I think we're going to have to wait until spring for the side steps. One more piece of business is that we have to adopt our budget, which we're set to adopt, I think, by the 20th of November. We don't have anything scheduled. We have a public hearing. It's still open, and we'll continue it until the budget's adopted. But can we choose a date now where we could file our tax cap, take a little break, and adopt our budget? Again, if there's any public comment, we'd love to hear it, but this is a scheduling issue. I've spoken to our bookkeeper. She has Thursday the 13th, Monday the 17th, Tuesday the 18th may work because we're here for a historic preservation meeting, and Wednesday the 19th. Does anybody have a preference or something that she can't make?
17th is the only day I can do it.
It's the only day you can do it?
Yeah.
But we have a historic preservation meeting on the 18th. Where you're not planning on?
No, I can do the 18th, but I think that meeting's going to go longer. So I think we'll be exhausted.
I'm fine with the 18th. Does anybody else want to?
I like the 18th.
So are you going to do it before historic
We
preservation
will
or
open the
after?
meeting, we'll instruct our bookkeeper to file the tax cap, and then she'll come in as soon as it's filed, and we'll adopt the budget. Okay? Tuesday, the 18th, and again, public comment is still open, so if anybody would like to comment, we'd love to hear it. But we will be adopting the budget on the 18th.
What time will the meeting be?
It starts at 5, historic preservation. So we'll file the tax cap at the beginning and then adopt the budget after Shelley has hit send and gotten confirmation.
Okay.
I think that's all that I have. Does anybody else have any announcements? Okay, we have several presentations. One is Sinterklaas, which I think will be brief, and the other is the mining overlay. Are there any objections if I take this out of order and do this Sinterklaas presentation first? I think Pat is here, Pat Sexton. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Pat Sexton, representing the Sinterklaas Committee for 2014. And we're here making a request for assistance for some of the things that we need, because we've had a difficult year with fundraising, and we are still looking for volunteer help and any kind of resources that can kind of come to bear. So I'm just going to read this quick page here. The 7th annual Sinterklaas event is set to take place in Rhinebeck on Saturday, December 6th. As this event has developed over the past 7 years, it's brought with it many valuable benefits to the town and village of Rhinebeck: community engagement, youth activities, economic development and prosperity through tourism and regional engagement, positive public relations and media coverage for Rhinebeck, various collaborative efforts, and an overall sense of community, well-being, and togetherness for our town. Restaurants and shop owners have reported to us that they've enjoyed some of their best business of the year on Sinterklaas Day, and many nonprofits and local churches make thousands of dollars for their causes on Sinterklaas Day, selling items or hosting lunches or dinners. These organizations and churches include, but aren't limited to, Rhinebeck Central School District, the Boy Scouts, 4-H, Reformed Church of Rhinebeck, Church of Messiah, Third Lutheran Church, and for the first time this year, the Good Shepherd Catholic Church will be holding a fundraising dinner. Now, except for the use of town hall and the use of sawhorses and barricades from the town garage, Sinterklaas has not asked the town board for any assistance in staging this massive event for several years. But as the event has grown and many benefits to so many local merchants, business owners, nonprofit organizations, churches, and individuals, we feel that by virtue of that extraordinary benefit, that some of the costs and hosting and manual labor and responsibility of the event is something that should be shared by the village and the town in helping this nonprofit organization continue to bring this important and beneficial event to the village and town of Rhinebeck. This year has been particularly trying for us in our fundraising efforts for a variety of reasons, and we need assistance that can be delivered in many forms. So we'd like to ask the board to consider offering some of that assistance in some of the following ways. Assistance moving boxes from our celebration space, which is right across from the fairgrounds this year, to the village hall on Friday, December 5th, for our Children's Crowns and Branches workshop. We need trucks and people to help carry things. We need assistance in cleaning up of the village on Sunday morning, the day after. There's often a lot of things that need swept and spruced up a bit. Having the town rec committee sponsor, host, and run a hoedown dance that we've often done here, but many years we haven't been able to do because we couldn't afford to do it, which has always been a really wonderful way to end the evening after the parade ends over here, to come here for a family square dance. So we'd love to see if the rec committee might be able to do that, and there might be some fundraising for them through refreshments at that, or considering a sponsorship donation to Sinterklaas of up to $1,000. And that's what I'd like to ask you for and have you consider and let us know. I've got copies of everything here.
Thank you, Pat. Does anybody have any comments or questions?
I have one comment. We tried to do the hoedown. The callers that we knew about, none of them were available. They're already booked. Yeah. A couple months ago. The ones we used to use, and they gave us some other ones. Yeah, those Trish and John. Yeah.
And nobody else was available?
No, they gave us some other ones. We couldn't find anybody.
If we could find somebody?
Do you mind coming back to the
Yeah.
mic if you're gonna?
Sorry.
Thank you.
If you could find somebody, would you consider it? Or another kind of family music?
The hoedown was always great, and we would find volunteers to do that. I don't think that's a problem, to move the furniture around and
That's
stuff.
great. I mean, the furniture will be gone anyway, because you'll be,
No, it's during the day we use it as audience style, and then we usually turn it around at 4:30 when we've done that in the past. And our crew has helped very much with doing all of that, and we really need assistance in people being here and helping chaperone and provide refreshments and that type of thing.
I think we can find the money for the hoedown if we can find the callers.
Okay.
you'll work on that?
Well, Pat's going to have to point me in the right
Yeah,
direction.
no, I'm happy to ask around in our resources, because we may
Just
have.
the moving the boxes and the Sunday cleanup, really we have one maintenance person, and we can certainly, I don't know, let us talk about that, but there's the highway department as well, so I think that's something Kathy would have to, and she's on vacation.
Okay.
So that's something I think we'd have to talk to Kathy about.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thanks
All
for
right.
coming.
Thanks.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments, or? Okay, so we have John Lyons here to update the town board and the public on the mining overlay district amendment, zoning amendment, the policy that we've made so far, and he's going to tell us the steps that we need to do next, and thank you.
Thank you. I sent an email to you on Friday of last week that provides a comprehensive report as to where we've been and where we're going with the proposed amendment to the boundaries of the mining overlay district. I'll take you through that just briefly this evening, and if you have any questions, you can let me know. With regard to an update on recent developments, this matter was referred to the planning board, as you know, for a report and recommendation on the amendment. That referral is required by the zoning law. The town planner prepared a report for the planning board recommending the amendment, and it came to a vote at the planning board, and the planning board was not able to put together 4 votes in favor of a motion to adopt that plan. The motion failed. Under the town law, the planning board needs to have a majority of the entire board in order to take any action. The town of Rhinebeck zoning law provides that if the planning board fails to act on a recommendation, that the recommendation is deemed positive. So the planning board's failure to reach consensus on a vote equals a failure to act, and as a result, the legal consequence of that is that pursuant to the zoning law, it's a favorable recommendation. The matter was also referred to the Conservation Advisory Board, which is also required, not by the zoning law, but by the provision of the town code that created the board. The Conservation Advisory Board did study the report that was created by the town planner, recommending adoption of the amendment. The CAB also provided some mapping with regard to the natural resources that are around this area, which this amendment is designed to protect, and we'll be providing copies of those maps to you at your next meeting as an attachment to the environmental assessment form.
Has their report been circulated to us?
Their report was sent to you by email. They adopted the town planner's report.
They copied all of us individually, I think.
Yeah.
You guys got it? Remember? Okay.
I missed it too.
What, yeah, okay, if you can send us, if you have it, John. if you
What
I can resend it to you, yep. And that report, Joe, relies mostly on the report that was prepared by Art Broad, so the email is just a recitation of the fact that the CAB voted.
I'll forward it to the board because I
Okay,
have it.
voted 4-0 in favor of recommending adoption of the amendment. On the strength of the information about natural resources that the Conservation Advisory Board is providing, and based on some of the information that's set forth in the planner's report, we are going to be revising the draft of the proposed amendment to strengthen it with some additional information that's been developed with regard to the natural resources in and around this area. The other step that needs to be taken care of regards the creating of the map for the new district boundaries. Mark Graminsky, who's a professional engineer, has been engaged by the town to create those boundaries, or to be more accurate, what Mark is doing is creating the data that will be used by the Dutchess County Planning Department mapping services to create the map. Mark has assembled that data. It went down to the Dutchess County Planning Department last Friday. I'm in communication with Bob Wills about the maps that'll be generated. There will be a new zoning map which will show the new district boundaries on it. There will be a close-up map. I don't know if you're familiar with the maps that are in the zoning law, but the Rhinecliff Hamlet, for instance, has a kind of a zoomed-in zoning map that lets you see a little bit more of the detail, and we'll be getting a map of that style so that there'll be a closer look at the boundaries of the new district as proposed. And they'll also be creating a larger size map that can be used in connection with the informational presentation that's going to be made to you by the town planner, and also for the purposes of the public hearing, which will be held. We have an estimate from the Dutchess County Planning Department of $523 to produce those maps. It's anticipated, we're ironing out a few glitches, but we're anticipating having the maps finished by the end of this week. So if that price is acceptable, we'll just continue moving forward. Thus far, we formally introduced the proposed amendment. The revised version of the amendment will be reintroduced at your next meeting. You've classified this action as a type 1 action under seeker and declared yourselves to be lead agency. You accepted a part 1 of the environmental assessment form without the mapping attached. We'll have the mapping attached for you at the next meeting. And you referred this matter as required to the planning board and to the CAB. Looking forward, in my email, I charted a calendar for you with a bullet list for what we intend to accomplish at the meetings going forward. At your meeting on Monday, November 24th, there'll be an informational presentation to you and also to the public by Art Brode, who is the town planner. And Art also created the reports, the report that was adopted by the CAB. And we'll have, as I said, we'll have the maps at that time, and that'll be available for you and for members of the public to see. It won't be a public hearing. That'll be on another date, but it will be an opportunity for you and for the public to have a chance to see exactly what's being proposed and have an opportunity to think about that before the public hearing comes up. We'll be introducing at that time the revised version of the amendment. There won't be any substantive changes in terms of the district boundaries or most of the new information that'll be in the revised amendment is going to have to do with additional discussion of the natural resources in this area that are sought to be protected by this amendment. Now, they're quite considerable. You will be getting your complete EAF that night because we'll have the mapping from the Conservation Advisory Board. You'll have a draft part 2 of the environmental assessment form, which will be drafted for you by the town planner, and he'll be available at that meeting to go through that part 2 of the EAF, which you have to do as lead agency and answer any questions that you have. He's also going to make a recommendation to you at that time on whether this, on the determination of significance under seeker, because seeker, as you know, is focused on adverse environmental impacts. We're not anticipating, since the purpose of this amendment is actually to protect natural resources, we are anticipating that that recommendation will be for a negative declaration. That night also, as you know, you're required to refer changes like this to the zoning law to the Dutchess County Planning Department pursuant to Section 239M of the General Municipal Law, and you'll, as part of your resolution that evening, you'll be making that referral. And then finally, you'll be setting, if you wish to do it, this is my suggested timetable, of course, Monday, December 8th, which is your next meeting, as the date for the public hearing. And on the schedule that I have crafted, we have December 8th for the public hearing. It'll be up to you whether you wish to close the public hearing at the conclusion of receiving testimony that night, or whether you want to extend that, hold it over to your meeting of Monday, December 22nd. You won't really be able to take any action on this even after the public hearing is closed until you've received the County Planning Department response to the 239M referral, or they don't respond within 30 days, whichever occurs first. And so that period, we're estimating that to be, that their time to expire is going to be probably going to happen during the week between Christmas and New Year's. But if they get it back early, and they declare it just to be a matter of local concern, it may come back early, and you're free to act anytime after that. So theoretically, it's possible that you could take a vote on the proposed amendment on the 22nd of December. It's probably more likely that it'll be your first meeting in January.
Which is our reorg meeting.
January 5th? Well, you can
Want
zig or zag depending on what your schedule is like. And let's see what the county
to,
does with the
board members, we may
referral.
want to have a special meeting to deal with this, so that our reorg, which is a pretty meaty.
Yep, you can just concentrate on that. Yep. So does anybody have any questions about the proposed schedule?
Yes, I have two questions. I want to make sure that the board's okay with the $523 for mapping.
Sounds like a bargain.
So that's a yes, proceed.
Okay, well, that doesn't include Mark Graminsky's fees, but it's still a pretty good price for what we're getting.
Need to proceed. I don't have any questions. Your memo laid it all out, and so
Okay.
thank you very much for that.
I know we haven't been here every week, but
You have been
as you
working.
know, there are a lot of steps to follow, and we have been working hard. The mapping presented some challenges that took some time to overcome, but I think we're in good shape right now.
Right, and I just want to say, Joe, John, our clerk, did forward the response to everybody on the 15th of October, and I will resend it out again from the CAB.
It may have been small, because it may
short.
not have
It was
been what
short
you
and-
expected. It may not have been what you expected, so I
Short
think it
and
might have been
sweet,
easy
yeah.
to overlook.
Yeah.
Yep.
What, said we agree, or,
Yeah, they gave
A little more than that.
oh, okay.
I can read it, but they gave a recommendation. I'll send it out again. Does anybody have any questions or comments for John? It's pretty clear, so we'll see.
Okay.
We know that we need to wait for response from the county planning to proceed, and we're looking at doing this on the 22nd or sometime after our reorg
Yep.
meeting.
The only wild card is the mapping. If that takes longer for some reason, that could alter the schedule. But I think, I talked to Bob on Friday, and I think we're in good shape. But I'll let you know. And in the meantime, if any of you have any questions, you can email me. And
We thought that was important, that the public here, that we have been working on this, that a lot of work has to happen behind the scenes, and we wanted to update everybody where we were and what we're expecting to happen. So I hope that this makes it clear, and if anybody has any questions, we'd be happy to take them. Thank you. Anybody from the public have any questions or comments? Please, come on up. Could you come up and introduce yourself? Thank you.
Leslie Duncanberg. It was recommended to us yesterday that the town and we separately apply for party status. And there was some suggestion that you had been considering that. We hope you will.
Party status, are you referring to for the, what's currently before the, yeah, that's
DC.
something we had talked about.
This attorney, who spoke very highly of you, said that it really was a precaution that we should take.
Thank you.
I can provide you with a little more
Yeah, that was a part
information
of our
about that.
original three-prong.
So what's being referred to is, first of all, this is switching topics. This is about the Red Wing application to the DEC to expand their mining operation. They need a mining permit in order to do that. Some mention was made by, I think, Mr. Doherty, was at the planning board meeting where the special use permit was determined, and he made a remark at that time that they are going to be downscaling their expansion application. We don't have any direct information on that. But party status would, the idea of the town applying for party status would mean that we would have a formal role in participating in the review of the mine application. We have had some conversations about it. I actually think that Warren Raplansky was going to go ahead and do that.
I thought we were going to do it months ago.
Yeah. So I will check on that. I have to speak to Warren about something else, and I'll check on that, and I'll find out whether or not that's been done.
Yeah, I think we had decided to pursue it. Is that
Yeah,
everybody's
I think we did.
recollection?
And it may be done. I just don't know. But it is a good idea, and I think it's in the interest of the town to do that.
So we will follow up on that. Does anybody else from the public have any questions or comments? Does this clarify everything? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, John. It's thorough. Any committee reports from anybody? Liaison reports?
I got 3 updates. Mr. Fitzpatrick put the forms in and started pouring the Dog Kennel Foundation today.
Very nice.
Great, it looks great, I went and saw it.
Mike?
Maybe move it closer.
That's good? Okay. Mr. Fitzpatrick put the forms on and poured the Dog Kennel Foundation today. Tomorrow, Mr. Fitzpatrick, even though it's Veterans Day,
Going to take the forms off.
yeah, he's going to work on that. He's going to move some stuff here. He's also going on safari with Mr. Baker and I through Vanderburg Cove to figure out what we can do for the repairs and what we're going to end up paying for is what we're going to do. And the other Mr. Fitzpatrick thing is last week with the assistance of a couple of different baseball organizations rebuilt the infield at Stone Church Upper Field. So,
He's been busy.
well, yeah, but there's a lot of stuff going on, so.
Thank you. No, the dog kennel looks great. I went down there today, and we had an idea for some fill for it, maybe a possible donation, which I'll reach out to.
Okay.
Nice.
And he was checking with the highway. I guess the highway thinks they can possibly move the,
Pick it up with the loader.
building up
and,
to
yeah,
Stone
put it on.
Church.
Yeah, we'll work on that too. So it looks great. Thank you for that. And then he said that we won't get the building until December 15th, around then. So.
Yeah.
But we'll be graded and maybe even, I don't know if we can seed by then, but it's moving along. Okay, anybody else have any updates or reports?
Well, the Affordable Housing Committee has met with Ann Saylor. We talked about projects. At this point, I don't know where to go with that committee, and there probably ought to be a meeting with the town board, because I think it may be spinning wheels and wasting people's time.
Okay.
So.
Anybody else? Should we move on to our resolutions? Let me just better if I'd like to make a motion for Resolution 2014-347 to accept our preliminary accounts payable abstracts V11271 through V1322, 43 checks totaling $120,013.14. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Bruce, is this the one where you want to call the board's attention to the moving into the capital fund of,
Well, I'll make a comment. And
okay.
what we're doing with this is, we're doing vouchers to move money, and we're doing the next thing, or two things down, we're transferring. So it's twice we're taking action to move money into capital. And my concern with this is that in the past, we always would take a board vote, a resolution, and say we'd like to move $14,500 for a new pump from the general fund to the capital fund to be purchased in.
I agree, we should do a resolution.
Yeah, okay, so that's my issue with this. And then when you look in the abstract, if you go down, it says capital fund. Well, that's nice, but everything else is it should say Town of Rhinebeck Capital Fund. The auditability of this, the audit trail goes away, the way we're doing it.
So what do you want to do, make a motion now and vote on it? Do you want to hold it over
I think we have to
to the
pass
next
these.
meeting?
I think we have to pass these, so let's pull them out. Do you want to amend this? Make a motion to amend this, and
Well,
which?
I'd like to table the current motion for a second, make a motion to transfer these two things from general fund to the capital fund, vote on that, and then go back to the original
So
motion.
we're amending the motion that's on the floor to remove capital fund transfer totaling $19,500. And we're going to vote on moving it to,
Yeah, we're going to do it right now, so then we can
We're going to
use
do it
the
to a
abstract.
capital
Yeah.
give you
fund.
the wording for it, did you?
And you have a name for the capital fund, Bruce? Is it a designated?
One of them's the dock improvement fund, the other one's the pool,
Okay.
It's not the pool, is it the
pumps the
part?
pool,
The pool.
or whatever.
John, did you get that? I was trying to get the wording done. We'd like to pull out the capital funds. It's page 1 of our abstract.
Page 1, halfway down where it says capital fund. It's got all the fund information right there. The H27.
It's voucher 1285 to, the capital fund is H27 for dock improvement. And then the voucher 1285, again, the second part of that for 14.5 should be moved to capital fund H33 for pool improvement.
So both the H27 and the H33 and the H38 are being moved to H33?
No. $5,000 is being moved to H27, and $14,500 is being moved to H38. Is that correct?
No, that's where they already, it appears that's where.
We are pulling this out of this abstract and voting on it separately.
I see.
Right, and we're going to vote on it in the transfers, which is a couple items down, because it's in there.
Right, so I think in the future, and I'll ask Shelley to do this, to do all, perfect timing. We're just pulling out some money from our vouchers, the moving to capital funds, and I think in the future we'll do this through resolution. Thank you.
And I understand why you explain it's a software thing, but
No,
Right,
I think
after we
it's,
pass the resolution, we'll put it on an abstract, so you could actually move the money because of the software. I think that's my understanding.
yeah,
any further discussion? All in favor?
aye.
Aye, so moved. Any opposed? So moved. Okay, now we have a motion on the table for our preliminary accounts abstract payables, we've taken totaling 120,013. We've removed one voucher from this for 19,500. So we want to approve payment of all of these vouchers, minus the voucher for the 19,500 that we just voted on to move to the two capital funds. May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. I will make a motion for Resolution 2014-348 for our preliminary capital projects abstract. It's one check totaling $13,649.89. May I have a second?
Second.
This is for the payment to our engineers towards the engineering of our new town hall heating system. Are there any questions or any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. I'll make a motion for Resolution 2014-349 for our budget transfers and amendments. May I
Second.
have a second?
There's a correction on this.
Any discussion? There's a correction.
There's a correction. Under town hall repairs, which is about in the middle, the account number is wrong. It has to be changed. It was, I believe, 1920,
440?
440, and
Yeah.
that should be 1620.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and we are amending
It's
this.
the one we talked about? Okay,
Yeah, it's,
thank you.
any
Isn't
further?
this the one where we're now transferring that pool and the other
Yeah.
one? We're putting this into transfer to capital project?
Yes, and we've said the funds already. I'll just go back and say them again. It's 14,500 to H38, and I don't see the 5,000 in here. Is it in here? We want to add it to here, $5,000 transfer.
Is this the same one that we're talking about, this 14?
There's 14,000.
That's a different transfer. That's not the pool and the bulkhead.
This is the,
Is it,
No, it is. It's 14,500 that we're transferring to capital for pool and dock, and I believe it's lower because we already had some funds in there. So should we transfer the whole amount now?
If you want to transfer the 19.
Yes. So the 14,500 will be transferred to account H38, and we will transfer the $5,000 to account H27 for the dock. Is there any further discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Okay, Resolution 2014-350, for town cemetery, there's a town cemetery use application for filming. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
yeah, I guess two things. One,
Before you do that, is Patrick Sandifer here? Hi. Would you like to come on up? Well, this is the gentleman who's made the application, the location manager on behalf of the film company, so let's go through this, and then he's here to answer our questions. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Sure, I'm Patrick Sanford. I'm the location manager for a German production company that actually shot several scenes from a series over the course of the last few years here in the Hudson Valley. And we've shot, I think, maybe not in the town of Rhinebeck, we've
In
definitely...
Pine Cliff, you were.
And
yeah, you were,
exactly.
yeah.
So we have a scene coming up.
Thank you for coming.
Sure, thank you for having us. We're just down in Poughkeepsie, so it wasn't too bad. But we have a scene coming up the Wednesday. We have sort of a contingency based on weather the Wednesday or Tuesday before Thanksgiving for a scene to be shot in the cemetery. And we would like to provide a $1,500 contribution for the cemetery. And then there's some information, I think that was forwarded in the
Yes, yep,
application.
we have it all here. Because they wanted to shoot on town property and we don't have a filming policy or a permitting policy yet, it's something we should work towards, and I think Elaine would like to work on it as well. I suggested that they come before the board. I asked for a certificate of insurance, naming the town as lost pay and additionally insured, a letter of intent, the scene breakout. I suggested that we may want to have one of our town employees there supervising, because it is in the cemetery at night. And
I didn't hear the last thing you said.
I suggested that we may want to have one of our town employees there at the cemetery that they would pay for to supervise the filming. That's very normal. And we would ask for you to remove all of your garbage, and we would accept a fee or a donation to the cemetery for use of the location. And I think, that something we may want to move towards having, as filming is becoming a little bit more prevalent up here, we may want to have a policy. But do you have specific questions about this, anybody?
Yeah, two things. One, on the tombstones, will any of the names be visible?
No, we built essentially their foam, like hard foam tombstones that are our own characters' names that will be placed alongside other ones. I can show you sort of a photo of where, but no, it will.
Okay, so nothing will be.
No, we'll be
identified.
setting up kind of the scene takes place at dusk, so it'll be very specifically, our stuff will be lit.
And I think we should have something, a short thing saying you're going to indemnify us for any damage done, any...
Doesn't the insurance certificate naming us as lost pay or additionally insured?
No, because insurance companies will no
Subjugate?
doubt say you're not covered. That's what insurance companies do. They don't like to own up to coverage, so at least I think we want your company to say. Now, I guess the risk is we don't know the assets of your company, and we have to go to Germany to sue, but at least it looks a little bit better if we had, a short indemnity.
I'll go.
What?
I'll go.
You'll go and sue there.
I just came back from it.
Well, they're carrying American insurance.
Yeah.
and-
It is, and it's an
Yeah.
American LLC. The German company
Yeah.
works with an American service producer, which is Van Worm International, and they hold all of our insurance. And we can either do a location agreement that it's a short form agreement that you guys can drop, or we have ones that we normally do. And
That
generally,
has an indemnity in it.
yes, usually again,
In the release.
it's in the release, or in the insurance holds us accountable for all the things that we do on those, at that time. So I can find out from the producers what they normally would like to do. I mean, I can find out, but usually and then we'll usually sign a location release at the end saying that you guys, everything was left in place the way that we found it, and we cleaned up all of our garbage, and that,
Great.
So you can give that to our town clerk, who can circulate
Sure.
it, and,
Yeah, I can show you kind of what a location release would look like, and then whoever is our town representative at the time can verbally sign off, say everything looks good, and then the next day, we can sign. Usually, when we get a relocation release, it means that we have left the space in good working order, and the person who is responsible for it is saying everything
good.
is... Yeah, exactly.
right, as to the physical condition, if
Right.
somebody trips and gets hurt, they probably have 3 years to sue us, so we need, but, if this is in the agreement, let's see it.
I have a comment, 5 to 8, it gets dark here at about 5. Did
So-
you move this earlier?
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea would be that we would, depending on the timing, I mean, I think that is the approximate filming times. I think that we definitely would take advantage of some daylight. The show, it is really kind of a magic hour shot where we really have to get it as the sun's going down, and
Had to be here at 2:30, like.
I know.
noon, yeah.
I mean, you know, it's supposed to happen kind of at dusk, and so we have 2 other locations on that day, so we have a very strict schedule, so regardless, we're going to have to do it in a pretty quick form, and it is, you know, we're a pretty nimble crew, so
Great.
we're going to
Does
try.
anybody else have questions or comments? Is this something, you know, I guess, too, you have to authorize me to follow up on all this and sign the, because they'll be doing it before, they want to know that we're going to approve this before our next meeting.
We would probably
Yeah.
have to,
You're
just
cutting it
only
a little.
because we've already, we basically have sort of passed photos and stuff around to our crew saying that this is a potential location. Everybody likes it very much and would love to film there.
Well, we're meeting on the 18th, we could. I
No,
think
we're
that's
not, we're
before.
meeting in 2 weeks, and that's 2 days before they shoot. So I will
Right.
tell you that they'd be jumping out of their skin if they don't have their location locked down 2 days before they're
Could
shooting.
have a special
I think it's a
meeting.
great idea. Why aren't we voting on it now? Is there any reason?
No, we have a resolution in front of us, and I think I want to move to amend it that will allow you, that, I want to put an amendment in here that you're going to allow me to sign the location release follow-up and what we have to follow up on, and allow me to
Sure.
Sounds good.
do it.
Pending receipt of the
Yes.
the
Yeah,
waiver. and
Yeah,
everything.
I mean, this was
Yeah.
my business for 20-some-odd years, so I think I remember how to do it, but
Subject to an indemnity agreement.
so, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Great, so I will follow up
Be in
with you,
touch.
and I'll sign it, and we'll get it done
Okay.
this week.
Okay,
Thank
thank you
you
so
for
much.
coming.
Thank you, guys. Have a great
Okay,
night.
great. Resolution 2014-351, return of escrow monies. May I have a motion
Motion.
and a second? I'll second it.
I think I have to actively recuse myself from this. Does that mean I sit out there?
You can sit, she does, or
Yeah.
not vote, go ahead. For the public, it's a resolution by a town resident. We kept escrow money for a highway thing that was done 4 years ago, and we were supposed to return it within a year after the work was done. We have checked with the highway superintendent. She said it should have been released, and our new escrow clerk found this out for us, so this is part of cleaning up all the escrows. I've looked into it, to the best of my knowledge, it should be returned. It should have been returned 3 or 4 years ago. So we're asking for approval to return $3,800 in escrow money. Are there
So
any-
Kathy has signed off on this.
Kathy said it's fine. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. Resolution 2014-352, stray dog shelter protocol with the Rhinebeck Animal Hospital. May I have a motion
Motion.
and a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
There's one thing, this says that the dog will be kept for 7 days. I thought we keep dogs just for 3 days.
Who brought this forward? Whose item is this? Is this your item?
Nope.
No.
No, here comes some.
Okay. This was a follow-up to the last meetings that you had been talking to the animal hospital. So I think this is the follow-up.
Yeah, no, I
the
understand where it's
questions.
coming from, I'm just saying, I thought it was 3 days is our policy. You've checked with Roger on 7 days?
No.
Oh, okay. So I think we ought to stick with what our policy is, that how long we usually keep dogs. 7 days runs up a pretty big bill. Plus, then we have Columbia Green, which is a substantial bill. So I think we ought to just check.
Any further comments?
Well, I guess I'm just wondering, was there a reason for the 7? Okay.
John only
I was just
received the
curious.
information, so.
Yeah, I
whoever-
just was curious.
Yeah, push this, whoever's.
I don't have any problem either way, I was just wondering. I didn't know if there was some, reason that may have been better for the 7 than the 3. I just was curious.
someone needs to follow up on it, whether it's Joe, because you weren't talking to the animal hospital.
Well, no, it has nothing to do with the animal hospital, so I think somebody has to speak to,
I think it does, because this is
Roger.
the Rhinebeck Animal Hospital Temporary Stray Dog Holding Protocol.
I
So
think maybe Elaine, I really...
who was in touch with the Rhinebeck Animal Hospital the last go-round?
All I did is get a bill from them as to how much they would charge. I don't think they care whether we keep the dog for 7 days, 3 days, 14 days.
You're saying it was prior town policy that
Yes.
said the 3 days?
Yeah,
I
So do we
think
want to
somebody-
change this from 7 to 3? Would you like to make a movement to resolve?
I
Do you
don't
want
know
to
what-
table it, and I'll talk to Roger and find
Yeah.
out what the average length of stay that animals,
what the limit is.
Right, what our policy is, what the town policy is.
Okay, I'll speak with Roger.
Well, I'm sorry, we don't have a kennel anymore.
We need this done, in
So
case we get a dog.
can we
So
say
then you want to just
in-
decide on, it doesn't matter to me,
in concept? Can we approve it in concept?
I think
and
we
then I
should,
can get
That's all.
details later?
And we'll fill in what the town
Yeah.
policy is.
Yeah.
Yep, fine.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you for that reality check, Bruce. Resolution, I lost myself for a second, 2014-353, amending the agreement with Panichi Holding Corporation, doing business as Royal Carting Service with respect to electrical costs at the town transfer station. May I have a motion
Motion.
and a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
No, we haven't heard from them. This has been submitted to them. But I wanted to get authority to sign this, assuming they're agreeable to it. It just implements the agreement or the understanding that they would take over the cost of the electricity.
I'm in favor of that. Any further discussion?
I thought they indicated they would be.
Yes,
They
so
did.
I wanted to
Seven.
put it in a formal agreement.
Yeah, okay. I'm fine with it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. New business. Is there any new business, John?
Sure. You're welcome.
Would you like to address us?
This is a resolution authorizing the referral of delinquent Vanderburg Cove sewer fees to the County Real Tax Agency so that the fees can be re-levied onto the 2015 town-county taxes.
Do we have a deadline on this?
I believe the deadline is the 15th.
Of November.
Of November. Okay. Does, we should move this to the floor then.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to ask for a motion for Resolution 2014-354, authorizing the Dutchess County Real Property Tax Office to re-levy on certain Vandenberg Cove Sewer District accounts on the 2015 county town tax bills. May I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion or
Yeah, I
comments?
got two questions. One of them is, I thought the budget was 1,200. Where'd the 14 come from? Do you know, or? My second question, are these all Rhinebeck parcels?
The answer to your first question is that I don't know.
Okay.
Shelley might.
Could they be penalties?
It could be partial payments.
There's a $30 late fee, so my guess is
30
that
times 4.
the $30 has rolled into these. In other words, you owe $300 a month. If you don't pay on time, you owe $30 in addition.
Okay,
That's what the 1290 is.
it's three
That's 3
delinquent.
quarters that they've missed.
Okay,
And with respect to your second question, looking at the Swiss codes, I think I see a Hyde Park one in there.
Okay. The concern is they're supposed, Hyde Park's supposed to bill the Hyde Park residents and pay us. So I don't mind passing this, but I don't know if we're going to get the money.
You're pushing the edges of my understanding of this, and we can get Shelley, but what I thought was that we bill the Hyde Park people, then I'm wrong.
We may send out the bills, but a couple years ago, they insisted on doing the billing and collecting it for their people and paying us.
I thought they didn't follow through on that.
No, they
That's why
did.
we switched.
I think we should get Shelley's input.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I don't,
Or we can pass it.
I'd like to
yeah.
pass the resolution, and
Yeah,
then
let's do that.
we'll follow up on it to make sure. We have a motion on the floor. I don't know, yeah.
but, okay, I mean, I'm not, it's either we're going to tax them all, or we're going to direct Hyde Park to tax their people. Let's make it, can we make that little change?
I don't know if you can direct Hyde Park to do anything.
Well, we don't have the authority, what I'm saying is I question whether we have the authority to tax Hyde Park people anymore because of the agreement with the DEC grant and everything else. We went through all the IMAs. So why don't we get Shelley? I'll run down and ask her. You want to get her? Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm not trying to be,
No, it's
Better to
good.
be clear, right?
Fine. I just hate to bring her out here in front of us, but she'll be okay.
well, she can stand in the hallway.
Okay, it's okay.
I do that.
Hi, Shelley.
hey,
We're lucky you're here tonight.
There were 2 questions. One is, we understand the 1290, because John explained that the $30, but we don't understand the 1,400. Where did that come from?
It's a carryover from when Hyde Park was collecting part of it, and they were not collecting on the same schedule we did. Their fourth quarter was different. I don't know if their fourth quarter was, I would have to go back and look to see what it came from that they rolled over to us to collect.
Okay, and so
It's a carryover.
they are not collecting anymore, it sounds like?
Correct. We are again collecting the Hyde Park re-levies because
You answered
we're
question number 2.
collecting the billing.
We're all set.
Thank you, Shelley.
Okay.
Thank you, John. Any further questions?
I'm all set to go.
Great, thank you for bringing that up. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Any other new business? We have a bunch of discussion items. Agenda policy. Joe, I think. this-
Yeah, Elizabeth and I have had some discussion on this, and I don't think the town board has set a policy, and I think there's 2 things involved. One is when is a deadline to get things to John so he can publish it on the internet. And the other is whether each member of the town board should have the right to put things on the agenda without a veto by the supervisor. My own view is that if we got things to John by Thursday night, which I think was the policy with the previous town clerk, something was published on Friday. So I think Thursday night is a reasonable time. And I think that every member of the town board should have the right to put things on the agenda, and they don't have to be approved by the supervisor.
Can I speak to
The board
this?
can decide. Of course you can.
First of all, you, in our reorg meeting, voted on, and you gave an aye vote, all agenda items require the supervisor's approval for inclusion on the agenda. This is Resolution 2014-010. The deadline for submission to agenda items for the regular meetings held on the second and fourth Mondays of the month shall be at the close of business on the Wednesday preceding that meeting. This has all been approved. This is nothing new. This was discussed, it was voted on, you voted for it. We're getting all of our agenda items, I think it's subjective, you're saying Thursday night's okay, because I don't think it is okay. I work very closely with the clerks. The purpose of this push, and I think we can congratulate ourselves, is that we are getting agendas out with resolutions and backup material to the public on Friday morning, so that the public sees what we're doing and so that we have time to prepare. And that's the impetus for this, is closing the agenda on Wednesday at noon, not Wednesday end of day, because then John has gone home and things linger. It's having a timely deadline that we can all follow, and I think it's really important. We've all been saying we like open government, we want people to know what we're doing, we want to be transparent. If we want to do that, I think we have to make a commitment to get this information out to the public and to give ourselves time to be prepared for things that have to be voted on. And I think we need to adhere to a deadline. I also want to point out that we had a late piece of business today that the clerk didn't get on. We voted on it under new business, so there is a mechanism for that. So,
If I could comment on that. The resolution that you read said Wednesday at close
Yes.
of business. It was unilaterally changed.
well,
Let me finish, Elizabeth, please. Without board approval to 12 o'clock.
that's fine, it wasn't unilaterally.
This-
John did send out an email asking for this in early October. So,
The second thing is, yes, I remember that resolution. I think you and I had some discussion at the time, because I didn't like it at the time.
you don't want to adhere to a time schedule?
No, I didn't say that. I said I think the time schedule should be Thursday
Why?
evening.
Based on
Be-
what?
Because things come up.
But will that give the clerk enough time to get it on? Have you spoken to the clerks about the work needed for the agenda and the work needed to get the information out to the public?
I have not. I'm going by what the previous clerk did, and I think if...
How many times did we get everything out to the public with all backup information?
As far as I knew, things went out on Friday afternoon.
An agenda went out with no backup information and no resolutions. We sent out an agenda. There's quite a difference between publishing an agenda and disseminating information to the public.
And I
So-
think on the second thing, yes, we did give you authority. At the time, I think you and I had a discussion as to how that would be exercised. At least I thought you said you would be flexible, and under that, I voted for it. Otherwise, I would not. But I think it's a mistake. The board can reconsider that as to whether there should be a veto. I think that...
Implying that
could I just-
wait, you know what, I really object to this, because I don't veto anything. I had one objection to a piece of business you brought up without public notice and without giving me time to read it. And you told me I didn't need time to read it because it was pro forma, and I objected to that. Because in the past, you haven't voted on things that you haven't had time to read. So it was one piece of information that you brought up and got voted on under new business. So you're implying that I'm vetoing or trying not to put items on the agenda when I have never done that.
No, but you take the position that things must be approved by you, and John runs things by you.
Our last
If we-
supervisor approved the agenda as well. I think
Well-
every statutory board, we have Michael here, do you approve your agenda? You're the chair for the planning board.
That's-
That'd be great, yeah.
Right, but that's immaterial as to
I
how
don't
they...
think so. I think it's very material. I spend a significant amount of time managing the agenda, and I take it seriously because it's the first information that goes out to the public. I feel that you're not supporting me on this, that you're fighting me for some reason, and really what I'm trying to do is get the information out to the public. I would
I think that-
appreciate support on this.
I think that's mischaracterization. We are all accomplished people on this board.
So you're saying that you would like just whatever, you would like our clerk to manage the agenda?
Yeah, if somebody on the board asks them to put an item on, it should go on. And if the board doesn't want to discuss it, we collectively will decide not to discuss it. But beats me as to why we were all elected. We all should be able to put something
But you do.
on the
Everything
agenda.
goes on the agenda. I'm asking you to adhere to a time schedule.
But there's two elements. One, we can set a time schedule, and if we're all agreeable to it, we can adhere to it. The second is whether items must be approved by you to go on the agenda.
So you're saying, for instance, that everybody sends something to John, and we could have an agenda with 14 presentations on it, and that's what we have?
Yeah, but I don't know if that actually will happen. I doubt it's going to happen. And if there's 14 presentations and John
sit here till 2 in the
communicates,
morning, and that's just the way it
or
should
somebody
be.
communicates, we can decide. But, you know, I think it's something that doesn't happen. What does happen is John needs time to run things by you. I don't know if that's instantaneous. I can't imagine that you're sitting on every item. So I think that will free up some time. But I think we should take these issues separately as to, one,
Michael, did you want to
what
speak to
deadline we
something?
have, and two, whether approval is required.
Thank you.
If it would be helpful, just the way we do it on the planning board, basically, is as the chairman, I'm the chief administrator for the planning board, so I am indeed responsible for the agenda, what goes on it, what doesn't, ensuring that what goes on it actually belongs there. Some things, if the CEO, for example, hasn't approved something to come on the agenda, we're not supposed to have it there. I'm supposed to, flag those sort of things. At our next meeting, we have 6 public hearings. We have a discussion on the affordable housing recommendation of the town board and a series of ZBA recommendations, plus I think another 5 additional applications. There gets a point where at most meetings, we found the planning board was often here till 12 or 1 p.m., a.m., I should say, because many things were not looked at on the agenda before they came before the planning board, and they didn't actually belong there. I mean, we had applicants in tears when they found out that they really shouldn't have been before us. So it's not my job to rule on the desirability of something, but it's to try and make sure that everything that goes on the agenda does belong there. Art Broad helps me with this. And if it's getting so long, schedule a second meeting, because clearly people, we all do get tired. All of you guys work extraordinarily hard. And after about 9 or 10 o'clock, I mean, how many of us are really able to act effectively? So part of my responsibility is to try and make sure that the agenda is at least within reason so that we can actually act with it and act on it appropriately for people. But it is my responsibility. Once the agenda is there, it is my responsibility. It's my responsibility to get it out as soon as I can. We require everything on the agenda be in the Joni's office Monday by noon, 2 weeks ahead of the scheduled meeting. Part of that is because we have to go through escrow issues with our different consultants, things of that sort. But it also gives people a chance, because people obviously are very interested in what's going on with their neighbors and things like that. From an open government standpoint, the sooner you can get information for people, the better. And I know today Paula, actually I should say on Friday, was reading through the agenda and the resolutions. Those did not used to be on the postings with the agenda for the town board, and it was extremely helpful for her. I know a number of the people here tonight were very helpful, very glad to have had that in a timely manner, so it just helps. I don't think it's a question of Elizabeth deciding whether or not something belongs on the agenda as far as its material that's involved, things of that sort, but there may be different times when certain things would be best put off to another meeting. Ultimately, she is responsible for that as the supervisor for the town, and I'm responsible for the planning board.
Michael, thank you.
Look, in connection...
Excuse me 1 second. Does anybody else want to talk?
Okay, so there are two separate issues. With the first issue, I agree that we should be as early as possible. I like the idea of the public having the information early on. I do have a question. If John receives the information by 12 o'clock on Wednesday, is it possible to publish it on Thursday instead of Friday? No, it's not. Okay. I'd like to see the public get even more time. And the reason for that is because I know that I've heard from a lot of people that they feel like they find out about information that's going to be on an agenda, and they get hit with it so late there's barely time to prepare. And there are two methods of preparation that I've heard people complain about. One is the research that they want to do to find out about the issue. The other is being able to contact other people they know that might have similar concerns or have something to say. And weekends, especially for working class people, are very busy times because that's where people end up playing catch up in their personal schedules. So it's just not enough time, in my view, from what I've heard, for people to really be able to participate in the discussions in a meaningful way to them. So I personally would like to see, if it's at all possible, the agenda published earlier. I understand the constraints of the clerk's department, though, so I get it if it can't be, but that's my opinion on the first matter. On the second matter, I think that with respect to you, Michael, I don't think that's an apples-to-apples comparison, since you're dealing with very specific issues where the board deals with much more broad and general issues. I think that the board has equal powers. And, Elizabeth is our supervisor, and I respect you as our supervisor very much, but she's a CFO, not a CEO. And there's a very big difference, just to be clear, about roles and responsibilities. I do think that the board should be able to submit to the clerk and say, I have an agenda, or an item for the agenda, and have it put on the agenda. I think if there's an issue where perhaps it's not the right time, there can be a discussion in that over email. I mean, that seems easy enough, but I think the idea of, having to have it approved does feel a little bit to me like, we're all professionals, we're all on equal ground. If there's something we want to put on an agenda, we probably have a good reason for wanting to do that. And so I don't have any problem with the board being able to contact John and having, you as the administrator and the person who is ultimately putting the agenda forth saying, hey, this probably isn't going to work. We have 5 presentations
Okay, well,
already.
here's the thing. That's what I'm doing now. So if you don't want me to do that, that's fine. But I would say it's an either or. Either
Well-
you submit everything to John and whatever goes, goes, and that's fine if that's what you want to do. But don't ask me to, then look at it and say, hey, I noticed we're
No,
going
I
to
was
go to
just
4 in the
suggesting,
morning.
based on what Michael was saying about sometimes things aren't on an agenda at a certain time, if for good reason, they shouldn't be. So I'm just suggesting that if that became an issue, if any one of us happened to say, hey, I noticed, because we all should be copying each other too with items we want to put on the agenda so that there's that opportunity for discussion. I'm just saying in principle, I think board members should be able to put what they want on an agenda. That's just my opinion.
And we do.
Well, I agree with Elaine, and I think the only exception I can see is when the agenda's full. I mean, I assume that from time to time, we'll have agendas that are so full that we can't actually get through the stuff. And I think it's reasonable to expect John or you and John, Elizabeth and John together to say, okay, the agenda's full, we're closing it. And that could happen, 2 weeks before the meeting even, in which case we might want to have an extra meeting. But other than that, it seems to me like any of us should be able to put something on the agenda. And of course, there are going to be emergencies, and we ought to have hopefully there won't be, but we ought to have a protocol for that as well.
Bruce?
Other than I'm enjoying this, I don't know where to begin. I guess I'll start with, John is an appointed official. He doesn't report to the supervisor. He doesn't really report to the board. There's nothing he has to ask permission for to prepare for this meeting, as far as I know. As far as running the meeting, that's yours. The resolution we did at the reorg gives you that editing ability now. I think the sending out the stuff ahead of time is a huge step forward. I think it's not quite there yet, the financial part of it. For years and years and years, I've been trying to get the financial reports and abstracts before this goes out, so we could do the vouchers and the auditing, make sure there was money when we were auditing stuff. So that's not happening yet, but we're moving forward. Again, back to the enjoyment factor. Aside from that, I think as long as we're going to do resolutions from the floor, like we did several times tonight, I don't think we can't do it. I think there's a question of equity amongst the board. And I think by you saying that you have to wait for Elizabeth to approve something, I think that's causing friction amongst us. Even though the resolution's there, it's causing friction. Okay. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't know. It's progress. I don't know why we're getting that hung up on it. But makes me a little nervous that we're starting to argue about this kind of thing.
Yeah, it seems not
And I'm
very
not really taking-
supportive of a good process, but John, you had a comment?